Hi, everybody. Dr. Jonah Flint here. As many of you know by now, I'm on to a new topic. I am on to the topic of putting incurable or chronic conditions into remission. In part one of this series, we showed how the pharmaceutical industry positioned it as the only scientific approach to treating disease. And they evolved this idea that if pharmaceuticals couldn't put it into remission, it was incurable or chronic. Well, after 5 years in the addiction reset community, where we're putting processed food addiction into remission, we've seen one disease after another go into remission. Many of those conditions are considered to be incurable or chronic. So we are now showing you how to do this. These are non-pharmaceutical approaches. All of our communities, the Remission Optimistic Community and the Addiction Reset Community, we're all peer support. We're all deeply, deeply embedded in science. Everything we do is based on science, but it's totally non-medical. It's not pharmaceutical and it's not surgery. It's not therapy. It's none of the licensed approaches, but peer support turns out to be surprisingly effective for putting disease into remission if you do it precisely. And I'm going to show you today how to do this precisely. So step one in part one of this two-part video was to understand the limits of medical treatment, to understand that it's coming out of a pharmaceutical orientation, and that is a very limited orientation. And today we're going to build those routes to remission. So in part one, we understood the problem to be limitations on treatment if you focus only on pharmaceuticals and surgery. We talked about the treatment no one is offering. And then we talked about the results from this, which is pain, suffering, and untimely death. Nobody should be getting those results. So today we're on building those routes to remission. How does it work? Can I do it easily? Is it fun? You're going to be so surprised. And how do you want your health to unfold? So how does it work? This is not rocket science. This is very easy to understand. You are replacing malfunctioning cells with healthy cells. Once your cells are working great, that translates, that is the end of disease. So how do you do that? There are three things that are required. One, you have to eliminate stress. I don't mean manage stress. I mean eliminate it. And you can do that and still carry on with your life through thought control. You have to fill the bloodstream with full nutrition and healing agents, your body's own healing agents, and immerse yourself in healing activities. All right, so eliminate stress. Why do we have to do that? Because it keeps us out of fight or flight. When you're stressed and your body is in fight or flight mode, the blood is going to your muscles. So you can fight or you can run away. But that means that you are not getting blood flow to the rest of your body. And those cells then are not getting nutrition, they're not getting anti-inflammation, and they're not getting immune function. So if this happens once or twice, in a year where you're in this fight or flight state, then you're okay. But if it happens all day long every day, because we have corporations who are encouraging constant stress, because it puts us in a buying mode. We're stressed. We want to buy something to make ourselves feel better. So how do you do this? You surround yourself with positive messaging. I'm going to give the punchline away, this is the system that we have developed in the Remission Optimistic Community, where you can surround yourself with positive messaging, not threatening messaging, not violent messaging, not depressing messaging, not mean messaging, which is a lot of the messaging coming out of screens today. It's positive, it's kind, it's compassionate, it's understanding, it's patient, it's wise. And then you train in methods to stay calm in all situations. People are acting out there. They're eating 73% of their food in processed foods. And these are mood-altering, destabilizing substances. Sugars, gluten, excessive salt, dairy, excessive fats, caffeine, food additives. They destabilize people's personalities. And then we have to face off against them. So this training and how to let somebody go through whatever it is they're going through while you stay deeply calm is the key. This is the training that will allow you to create the blood flow in your body that is the setup for remission. And then block out the manipulative stress messaging from marketing neurologists. Here's the key. When the body is in rest and repair mode, the blood is reaching all cells. And the blood flow reaching all cells is what keeps them healthy. So that's A, number one, eliminate stress. Provide full nutrition. Now this is not easy. And I will say, I think that if you're finding it hard to get off the processed foods, then the Addiction Reset Community is the answer. We have 5 years of experience at this time. We started at the beginning of 2018 with what does it take to get somebody through the addictive manipulation that the processed food industry, under the guidance of the tobacco companies, that they have given us. So elimination of processed foods clears cells of processed food byproducts. But when those cells are being forced to process high levels of fat and sugar, literally trash builds up in the cell. The cell's not able to clean itself rapidly enough. And then the mitochondria, which run the cell, can't get around to do their jobs. And the high quality fats comprise a more flexible membrane so that it can pull nutrients and chemicals into the cell. And then elimination of processed foods also relieves inflammation. The cells can't work if they're inflamed. And it promotes immune function. So this is definitely step 2, is to get the right nutrients and get the toxic substances, the processed foods, out. And I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not one of those people who says, oh, just follow this food plan. We understand that the addiction neurologists at the tobacco companies and then the processed food industry, don't ever forget, the tobacco companies bought Kraft, Nabisco, and General Foods in the mid-1980s in 3 short years. And they brought their addiction business model to processed foods. And that's where this all starts. So it's a deeply, deeply, deeply seated addiction, many different substances, and it does take immersion recovery, which we offer in the Addiction Reset Community. All right, immerse in healing activities in a group. In a group. Your brain, which seeks normalcy above all, your brain wants to be normal above all, because normal is how, whether you're a creationist or evolutionist, historically normal, being normal gets you into a group. The group accepts you as someone that they want to protect. And being normal means that you're copying their behavior. Our brains have this just enormous drive to belong, to be normal, via copying other people's behaviors. You've got to do this in a group. You've got to be in a group of people who are doing this. If you're in a group of people who are eating processed foods and taking medications and suffering, your brain will drag you in that direction. I want to do what they're doing, is how you experience that. But if your brain is surrounded by healthy people who are thinking positively, who are eating clean, who are having a great life, your brain will drag you in that direction, and you will want to do that. If this is the only thing that you take away from this presentation, this is it, that your brain, that saying, we are the sum total of the 5 people we see the most. That's absolutely true. And there's research showing that. We will conform. Our brains will drag us. They will want us to conform to those 5 people. Okay, so that's on the one hand. On the other hand, we have this very exciting development. We have been working out of the Radical Hope book. This is by Kelly Turner. She's now at Harvard, but she's a PhD in oncology counseling. And she did her work in what do people do who put fatal cancer into remission? And it's a list of 10 things. And I have gone through the book in detail, looked at the studies myself, and now I'm totally convinced I have clarity about why the ARC, the Addiction Reset Community, has put so many different diseases into remission. I now understand the research, the science behind that. And it's getting the cortisol and adrenaline levels down in the body. Those are inflammatory and they keep the body from working very well. And there are focused activities which actually increase immune factors such as white blood cells and killer T cells. These are activities. They are not pharmaceuticals and they're not surgery. Pharmaceuticals and surgery have a place. I am alive today because of pharmaceuticals and surgery. I am alive. That's not an exaggeration. I'm alive today because of pharmaceuticals and surgery. I need them. I mean, they're fantastic. But they're being positioned as the only answer, and that's the problem that we're solving today. There are many, many other answers. There are many other science-supported activities that promote health in the body. And we're going to be looking at them. Specific activities decrease inflammation markers such as interleukin-6. Engaging in healing activities alone can be counterproductive because isolation creates stress. This is part of the research. This is one of Kelly Turner's 10 things that the people who put advanced cancer into remission did. And socializing is one of them. Socializing is one of them. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't things that we like to do alone. I like to sit alone, and I like to do my work alone and creative work alone, and I like to meditate alone, and I like to do my coherent breathing alone. But I'm in my community all day long. And that's the other thing that we have found. It's just vital, is that you can get that urge to be normal in a group of people you see on your screen. Yeah. Okay, now step 2, can I participate easily? Is it fun? We're going to talk about how easy it is. You can participate over any device, including a cell phone or smartphone, anywhere with an internet connection and around the clock. So all of our services are delivered over digital platforms. Zoom, private messenger or LinkedIn, email, conference call, a members only website library, confidential Facebook group. You don't have to belong to Facebook. And we provide training in how to use these platforms. So you can easily participate. Just open up a screen and we're there. Anywhere with an internet connection. This is anywhere in the world. We are around the world. We have teams in the Pacific, Australia. We have teams in Europe and Africa. We have teams all across the Americas. And so we are around the world. You can get us anywhere in the world. And we're around the clock. So on Zoom, for example, we will broadcast for maybe 6 or 7 hours and then take a break and then broadcast another block. So we are live on Zoom with a trained host 15 to 17 hours a day. And I have asked, I know someone who does health systems evaluation. They have degrees in the field and they practiced health systems evaluation for their career. I asked them, have you ever seen anything like the ARC? And they said, no, there's nothing like it out there. And I asked them, what do you think makes it valuable? And she said, it's the constant access that you can open your screen around the clock and there will be a live person who is deeply compassionate, understanding, and can explain to me what's going on using science. There's the key. Got to be in a group. You have to harness that drive to be normal. Yeah. Okay, now here's part C. How do I see my health unfolding? I've only got one life. I'm 71 years old right now. I want another 30 years of highly productive, really, really fun activities in my life. So I want my health to be unfolding as calm, productive mind and emotions, a flexible, strong body, and a fulfilling, purposeful life. So what does that mean? A calm, productive mind and emotions, free from cravings. I'm not letting those friggin' processed food neurologists get in my head ever again. I'm not listening to their messaging. I'm in and out of the grocery store in 20 minutes or less. I'm not going to let them influence. I'm not going to let them teach my brain cells how to talk to each other, which means I'm also free from racing thoughts. I have great cognitive function, which means I can pay attention, I can learn, I can make decisions, I can solve problems, and I have good impulse control, as well as a great memory. My memory is getting better as I age. Stable emotions and a positive outlook. That is how I want my health to unfold. I want to be in a strong, flexible body. I want my bones to be strong, my muscles to be strong. I want to have great stamina. I want to be able to reach and stretch. I want good mobility. And I want to enjoy my body. And I know a lot of you might be thinking, oh, that's not possible for me. Don't say that. Don't say that. It's something that we've just seen over and over and over again. You get the inflammation out of your joints because you've gotten the processed foods, inflammatory processed foods, and inflammatory stress thinking out. I think you're going to be just so surprised and so happy. And a fulfilling, purposeful life. So this is another item on Dr. Turner's list of things that people did to put disease into remission, is they had a purpose. So satisfaction, pleasure, connection, healing, joy. And I just want to put a plug in here for our trainings. We want you to have a purposeful life too. And I got to tell you, from my own perspective, being able to walk with another person out of suffering, oh my gosh, there's no better purpose in life. There's nothing more fulfilling in my experience. All right, so here's, this is what I said before, group participation is essential. Socializing is calming. When you're isolated, your body, your primitive brain, which is still up and running in our brains, it just thinks that you're now vulnerable to any kind of an attack, a neighboring tribe, a saber-toothed tiger. So socializing is calming because you've got protection and you've got security. But it's got to be socializing in a nice group, in a smart group. So normalization is a prerequisite for success. I will hear people say, you know, I was able to eat this way for 3 years, and then I had a bite of something during the holidays, and I've never been able to get back. And that was 10 years ago. It's because they didn't do the normalization step. Their brains just kept saying everybody else is eating processed foods, and what we're doing is not normal. And finally, the brain and the addicted reward center cells got together, and that drive for normalization hooked up with the addiction and said, okay, everybody around us is addicted. Now we're addicted too, and we're back in it. And now I feel normal. That's how it works. Mirror neurons are the special neurons in the brain that create the behavior that makes you fit in. And they're doing this by copying other people. If you're around people who are just, oh yeah, I put that into remission. Yeah, I put that into remission. I put that into remission. Your mirror neurons are now helping you incredibly, because your mirror neurons are saying, oh, everybody puts stuff into remission here. Oh, okay, well, we better do that too. We're going to prioritize that. So you're harnessing that drive to be normal. And the information in our programs is really rich. As you guys know, I wrote most of the textbook. It took me 3 years of research, but now we have the story. So when we talk about behaviors, we're able to offer the explanation for what's going on in the brain that creates that behavior. And then how you can be in charge of your brain, not the friggin' neurologists who work for these corporations. It's more fun, of course, to be in a group. And isolation, don't ever forget this, isolation puts the body into fight or flight. And this is also a buffer. We all have negative people in our lives because they're eating a lot of processed foods, which suppress the positive parts of the brain. And so when you can open your screen and be around positive people and get filled up with positivity, unstable people they just can't hurt us quite as bad. We're not depending on them for as much. All right, so here's some examples. I don't mind giving these to you because I know you're hearing me. You're hearing me when I say you've got to do this in a group. If you try to do these things, like you can stop the slide, you can take a picture of the slide and say, oh, I'm going to do these things on my own. You will not get the results that I'm talking about. It took me 22 years to figure that out. I got off of sugars and flours in 1996, and I immediately started looking for a way to get people off of processed foods because so many things happened for me. Lifelong sinus infection went away, bloating went away, fatigue went away, brain fog went away, cravings went away, even allergies went away. But it was in the third week when I realized I had stopped yelling at my family, raging at them, that I decided to make this my life mission. But it wasn't until I got into the ARC 5 years ago that I really began to heal. In 1996, when I started this, I had a once a week physical meeting that I had to get dressed, drive to. It took half the day, once a week. And that was enough to keep me off the sugars and flours because I transferred the addiction. My particular recovery community allowed dairy and excessive salt. And I just transferred the addiction. So I didn't get free. I got a lot better. I was thrilled with what happened. But now that I'm in a group, I'm not just, and I have the cleanest food plan I've had in my whole life. But I'm also working on stress, and I'm working on limiting beliefs, and I'm working on the childhood trauma, not with a license. It's not licensed therapy. This is just peer support. It's being around people who accept me and seem to like me, even loved me. I've never had that experience before. Day after day after day, hour after hour after hour. I will say that if you can watch TV, you can do this program. Because we broadcast so many hours a day, you can just play it in the background. And your brain is absorbing that kindness with no effort on your part. It helps. It does work, but it happens in a group. I don't want you to think I'm showing you this list and you can just go off and do these things and you will put disease into remission. I am not saying that at all. Got to do it in a group. So here's some more. I mean, this is the thing that's so shocking. Most of these things I have a study for. And when I talk about, okay, pharmaceuticals and surgery have a place, they have a place on this list. So let's count these up together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 33. And I know I don't have them all on here. I know I don't. Pharmaceuticals and surgery belong on this list. So the idea that if it's not going to be cured by a pharmaceutical, it's not curable. It's just not, it's not consistent with the research. Don't ever let a medical professional tell you that something's not curable or that it's chronic and you're going to have to live with it the rest of your life. It's not true. Now, oh, here's some more. Here's some more. Exercise, high intensity training, rebounding, lymphatic dry brushing, bathing with salts, gardening, singing, healing touch. All right, so now are we up to about 40? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 40. 40 things can improve your health to the point that you can put disease into remission. But you will find very few people who are trained in pharmaceuticals are able to talk to you about it or even willing to talk to you about it. It's just as likely, in my experience, that they will deny. They will call all of this quackery because they're competing. They want you to buy the pharmaceutical. They don't want you to go and do one of these things that are mostly free. Now, here's some books that we also use. Hardwiring Happiness, Taming Your Gremlins, Mindful Self-Compassion, Atomic Habits, Heal Your Life, Wired for Love, Processed Food Addiction, Motivational Interviewing, Mindful Toolbox for Relationships, Cognitive Restoration. So none of these things require a license. We read them out loud, and we read them out loud in a group as part of our programming, and people heal. So here are your do's and don'ts. Do learn the new science of harnessing the body's own natural healing to put disease into remission. Become expert in self-care. Out of that list of 40 things, what works best for you? Free yourself from the limitations of the medical services industry. Now, we would like to meet with you. If you visit www.remissionoptimistic.com, you can get on our mailing list, ask for an appointment, and we will have one of our people meet with you. Don't accept an incurable or chronic diagnosis. Don't try to find remission on your own because isolation is stressful and you're losing the power of normalcy. And don't let anybody else talk you out of your journey. This is your journey. You're in charge. You're the powerful person here. Okay, this is how you find us. The original community, the Addiction Reset community, if you think you have, if you're just tired of struggling with the processed foods, that's a place to start. If you have an incurable diagnosis, then go to Remission Optimistic. Or if you have a chronic condition, you've been told this is a chronic condition, or you have to live with something, go to remissionoptimistic.com and give us your email address. And then join us for training. And this is so fun. I got to tell you guys, it is so fun. Every day in the ARC, somebody comes along and they say, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't have that anymore. It could be depression. It could be anxiety. One person even mentioned that they had put bipolar into remission. Oh, that's just healthy brain cells. That's making your brain cells healthy. Somebody said to me just this week, I can now climb a flight of stairs without losing my breath. That's lung cells that aren't inflamed anymore and stronger muscles. So it's so fun. It's just so fun to be in a community where these things are happening. So get training. You can do this too. You can be that kind, compassionate, expert person who can walk people out of this misery. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm just so grateful that you came here today and watched this video, and that now there are other routes out of suffering. I'll see you around the hood.